What's going on, everyone? Today you are in for a treat because I'm joined by a good friend, Matthew King, the king of solar. Excited to talk to you more about solar, the opportunities that are available, not just from a solar perspective and the savings you can tap into, but also from a lending perspective. If you're looking to buy a house, maybe refinance your current one, and maybe you've thought about solar. So let's dive in. Let's talk a little bit more about solar, what it's all about. Matt, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me here, Trevor. I'm excited. So yeah, there's a lot of cool things going on in the solar world, and Fairways, as you know, they've got some unique offerings that's exciting our clients. So I'm happy to be here and talk about it.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. So before we kind of dive into solar, tell me a little bit more about how did you get into solar? How did you find the business?
I'll keep the story a little short, right? But yeah, previous life I was a financial planner.
Okay.
So I had gone to grad school, University of Chicago. I was getting some offers from J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and the firm that I was at had made an offer. And I said, okay, well, this sounds nice and safe, and supposed to take over a team. I got in there afterwards. They changed the offer on me, right? So now I'm kind of
The old
stuck.
bait and switch, eh?
Right, exactly. I'm trying to figure out, all right, what am I going to do? I'm pretty sour about it at the time. I leave that office, right, and I start my own investment firm. Then one of the partners there was stealing money from our special needs trust. So I said, you know what, things are just not working out in this world. I turned that guy into the feds. I walked away, and the next day I had a job as a CFO of a solar company that they had their own issues, right? They had about 2 million in sales and $7 million in debt. So,
Ooh,
yeah,
the math doesn't math very well.
no, it doesn't. Right? Yeah, they were very much on the verge of bankruptcy. So, they brought me in. I worked a little magic. We turned it around, and about 2.5 years later, we sold that company to Titan Solar Power.
Okay.
So at the time they were worth about 1.2 billion in sales. Yeah, and they were doing really well. They were trying to get over here on the East Coast. So we sold for a profit, took a little bit of money, put it in my pocket. About 9 months later, things weren't working out so well with Titan, right? You guys know, they're not in business anymore.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. But yeah, after leaving them, I stepped out and I started my own company. I said, hey, there's a couple things that we're going to do different, right? We're going to take care of our customers first and foremost. We need to make sure that people can see and have faith and trust in our company. Not just Titan Solar Power. There's also Power Home, Pink Solar. There's a couple of others that, for sake of lawsuit, I'm not going to mention their names right now, but there's a lot of bad players in the solar industry, right? It's very much the Wild West. So we started saying, hey, what can we do to show people that we're different, right? So some of that's like our activity in the community, right? We're going out, we're volunteering, we're making sure that we are a part of the community. I grew up here in Charlotte. It's important to me to be a part of the Charlotte community. The second thing is we came up with guarantees. Right. Yeah. So we have a 25-year production guarantee. If we miss for whatever reason any year our production, we're going to pay a cash difference to the customer what they did save and what they should have saved.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, and then we offer timeliness guarantee. So none of these projects getting strung out, 6, 7, 9 months. We're not a part of that. We have a 60-day guarantee if you have an HOA, 45 days if you don't. If not, we're going to pay you 1% of the price of the project or $1,000, whichever one's larger. We went in and basically said, what do we have to do to show the customer that we mean business and to build trust? And so that's sort of the things that we've been trying to do. Using better hardware, things like that is going to build that credibility and show the customers in the area that, hey, we're not like the rest of these guys. We're trying to do things, and not to say every solar company out there is bad. There's several others that are really good, right?
Yeah.
Renew's a very good company, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be honest and they do good work, but there's a lot of other ones that aren't. And so best thing I tell people is, look, go get some other quotes. That's fine. We're still going to be the best. Nobody in the country offers the kind of guarantees that we do, but at the same point, we are doing things different, and that is just part of our commitment to people in the area to try and show we're different. There's There's an old Japanese fable, and if you guys ever read Ryan Holiday, right, you're gonna hear about this. The emperor puts a giant boulder in the middle of the road,
Yep.
right, and everybody just turns away. They're like, I can't get it. But this one like poor farmer comes up, and he actually uses like a tree as a lever, and he gets his donkey and they pull it and they roll it away. And there's a big old sack of gold under it, right? And the lesson was the obstacle is the way, right? The impediment to action is the impediment to action is the course of action.
Yeah.
So when people ask me, why are you doing solar in Charlotte, where everyone is skeptical, where everyone is afraid that they're gonna, buy a system, it's not gonna work, nobody's gonna service it, the system's gonna break down, they're gonna have holes in my roof and it's gonna leak, and now I've got all this other damage or mold in my house, because that's what they've seen. Right? They've seen a great salesperson. They haven't seen good solar installations and functioning product.
Yeah.
So when, they say, why are you doing this? Well, that's part of our strategy, right? Yeah. Let us be the ones that people trust, right? If we can change the way people see solar, and not just by marketing or telling people that we're the best, but by our actions, right? Yeah. By referrals from our customers, then that allows us to segment that market, and ultimately we become the household name.
Yeah. No, I think that's huge. I mean, I know, obviously from the lending perspective, talking to clients buying new houses, maybe they're refinancing. You're right. Solar really has created a negative connotation in a lot of markets. And I think a lot of that comes from those salespeople that are just the stereotypical used car sales guy, instead of actually dissecting the product, the house, the project, making sure like this is going to make sense for this customer or it's not. Right. I mean, it's pretty simple. It's either going to produce enough power or it's not. Right. I would imagine. I mean, I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a couple things to look at, right? So the first one is, how much power am I going to produce? And then, comparing that to how much power am I consuming? Depending on your area, you may have a couple of different rate schedules, right? Or what they call, like net metering. So some companies are going to net meter, which is like if I produce 1 kilowatt hour and I consume 1 kilowatt hour, am I getting paid the same amount, right? Is that offsetting at 100%? Some, what they call a buy-sell or a buy-all-sell-all, you may produce 1 kilowatt hour, but you're only getting credit for like 0.4 kilowatt hours, right? So in that situation, your ROI is not as great, obviously, right? You're taking a 60% cut. There's other ones that'll net that out and net meter that, right? So it's 1-to-1, but anything you overproduce doesn't carry on to the next month. And then there's other ones that do it for a whole year. And then finally, there's some like in Duke territory right now, right? Yeah, it'll net meter, but you're on a time of use. So you have 3 different rate schedules throughout the day. And so during peak times, you may be paying 22 cents per kilowatt hour. And then, in off-peak hours, you're paying 8 cents per kilowatt hour.
Got it.
But if I produce during off-peak, then I'm only getting credit for off-peak. So what we try and do then is you've got to work in a battery. So you can deploy your produced power that's been stored at a time when it's most expensive. So generating something like that and setting those systems in place helps people, get that ROI that they're looking for, because a lot of people care about the environment as our customers, but let's be honest, most people just really want to save money.
Yeah.
Right. So if I'm putting a sizable investment on your home, you're looking for me to make sure that I'm maximizing your ROI, right? I'm not selling you something at a ridiculous price or overpromising what it's going to do or having it produce a bunch of power, but in turn, that's not really aligning with your rate schedule. Right. So all those factors go into it when we're designing and developing a system, right? And I'll say this too, the whole model that people have used in the past when they are selling and installing solar, it's broken, right? Like there's, they call it the dealer model, right? So you're like, hey, okay, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna pitch something to you, right? Here's a solar system, Trevor. Well, I'm gonna get you to buy at that point this system, but I'm also gonna look back and see who's gonna give me the cheapest way to install that. Well, if I have 3 different companies that are telling me, hey, we'll install it for this price, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to beat them all down to get that rate as low as I can because I'm pocketing everything else, right? So if they're charging me $2 a watt to install it, but I'm charging you $4 a watt, then I get to take $2 a watt. On a 10 kW, which is about the average system here in our area, that's $20,000 for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's crazy. So $20,000 commission, that money should have gone more to the homeowner. Right.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, well, how do we control this? Well, we're going to have flat, transparent pricing, and all our salespeople are employed by us, right? So they're paid out of our take, but they can't charge more. They can charge less if they really wanted to. But, we're saying, hey, we've got 2 or 3 different systems that we would recommend, and those start at $1.90 a watt. So when you look at some of these people that are paying $5 or $6 a watt, that's like before batteries. I mean, it's just crazy. Some of the crazy salespeople that are out there. So trying to control that aspect of it as well. That's another big thing that we're doing.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, when we were talking the other day about systems and the cost of systems, I was under the assumption that solar systems for the average person were 40, 50, 60, $70,000, and you're like, no, the average one's about 25 grand.
Yeah, and that's with a battery, right?
Which is crazy.
So,
that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, I mean, we've been able to kind of work with a lot of different manufacturers, right? And we basically said, hey, look, we're going to put together some packages, right? So there's our 250 a watt, or which is a more expensive system, right? It's got way more durable hardware. They're guaranteed to last 25 years. We're going to guarantee the production for the life of that system. We're going to be out there, obviously, doing like cleanings and maintenance and everything like that for the whole 25 years, right? But at the same point, that's more expensive hardware. But if you want to start your basic, you're looking at like $1.90 a watt. And then right there in the middle, there's that $25,000, which gets you a 10 kW system with a 10 kW battery. And that's pretty much what anybody needs in this area. And obviously, situations are going to change, maybe size can go up and down, right? But if you're looking at that average customer, 10 kW in this area, and if you're in Duke, you're getting a 10 kW battery. Well, then you're also qualifying for a power pair program. So you're getting
you were telling me about that.
So you're getting almost $9,000 rebate from Duke. You add in there a 30% federal tax credit. I mean, you're right there. You're getting about maybe 60% of the cost covered to go solar.
That's crazy.
And in South Carolina, you don't have the Duke Power Pair program, but you do have a 25% state tax credit. So you're getting 55% of it covered there. I mean, it really makes it super affordable. Yeah, and then we want to add in some of the stuff that you guys are doing there as well.
Yeah.
Which I can let you kind of talk about that if you want. But yeah, I mean, it's people, when we've added that in for our customers, people are getting it for free.
Yeah, which is crazy. I mean, it's just mind blowing. So, I know I put a video about this a little bit ago, but just real quick, high level, we have a new program that allows you to combine an FHA loan and buy a house with a solar system, brand new solar system. Not only are you able to roll the cost of that solar system into the mortgage, so you don't need some specialty loan or you don't have a second loan payment, but you also get paid $13,000 just to do the solar program. Now, you do have to enroll in a financial mentorship program because it is a research study and that's where the money's coming from. But it's a really great program. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer. It's also available on refinances. So there's a lot of scenarios where people can save money on their utility bills and start tapping into a greener house, a smarter house, without needing any money.
Right. Yeah,
I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Right? I mean, like literally, I was looking at this, right? Like the majority of our customers, they've either been in their home for, 10, maybe so years, right? There's a couple people that are, hey, I'm looking to move, right? And so right now, as I'm looking to move, I've maybe got solar in my existing home. You get the calls, can you move my panels? Listen, sell your house with the solar. It's gonna make the money back over what you own. It'll pay off the loan that you have on the solar if you haven't paid it off already or if you paid cash. What you need to do now is start looking at this new product through Fairway Mortgage, and you'll be able to take that $13,000, put that in, and that's more than covering the cost. You're literally getting paid in North Carolina. I think the average is about $3,000 to get paid to put solar in your house. In South Carolina, it's like $1,750.
That's crazy. So I'm getting paid to put solar on my house.
Right. And then your power bill's at, maybe, 10% or less than what it should have been, without the solar.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I have next to nothing on a power bill, and I didn't pay for solar.
And all they got to do is take a little, sit down with somebody and go through some financial literacy courses.
Yeah, it's super easy.
Listen, I'm the guy that's gone on vacation before, right? And they paid for it with the timeshare.
Yeah,
right?
That we all have.
Right, exactly.
Just sit in this class
I'm
real
like,
quick, spend a couple hours.
Not buying anything, but you guys can high pitch me for 4 hours. My girlfriend's out, skiing or doing whatever. Right? And I'm like, hey, I'll take that lick. You know what I mean? And then who knows too? Like, this isn't a high pressure sales thing. They're actually like giving you some information, so maybe the customer actually learns something along the way too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's the goal.
And even if you already know everything, right? You may have an MBA or a PhD in finance. Well, cool, man. $13,000, spend a couple hours with somebody.
Still good ROI.
Sounds good to me, right?
Who's paying you that much? Yeah, man, it's crazy to think about the benefits. And again, it wasn't until we started really talking that I realized how beneficial and how much solar's changed over the years. When I first learned about it, it was in its infancy stages, and it was nowhere near the production. The batteries, the systems, they just weren't in the level that they are now. So it's really great to see those savings, especially in some of these states that I think it's called deregulated power, to where like Texas, for example, that power bills for people, just a normal single family home, it's $300, $400, $500, $600 a month.
Oh yeah.
In a power bill, I'm like, geez, oh Pete.
Yeah.
You guys need solar.
Yeah.
Well, and the other part about that thing, about it is, obviously, Western North Carolina.
Yeah.
Right? That was huge. And granted, I don't know, obviously the hardware surviving a hurricane, depends on how bad you hit. Right. Hit your house.
Tree falls through your house, your solar's not gonna work.
Yeah,
right.
Right.
But
if your house is still standing and you have solar, now you have the ability to generate power in a situation where nobody else is.
That's right.
It could be months
before
you have power.
Right.
Some places are still without power.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of different scenarios where it's applicable, but I know you guys don't just do residential.
Right.
There's also a lot of opportunities from a business perspective. Whether you're an investor in commercial real estate or whether you're a business owner, tell us a little bit more about that side of things on the commercial side.
Yeah, sure. So, right now, when we started our, every year at the beginning of the year, I do a forecast, right? For, that year, short term, medium term, long term. And I look 2 years out. So last year when I did my projections for 2025, right? So, looking a year forward, right? 2025, I was based on our historic numbers. I said, we're going to be 90% residential, 10% commercial. We are now 150 times our projection on commercial for this year. Already booked, right? On the books. We're at 150x of what I did. Not 150%, 150x.
Wow.
And it like blows my mind to talk about it, right? I tell people and they're like, bullshit. I don't know if I can say that on here, right? Like BS, right? Yeah. So we started sitting there and like looking at. We added a tax and incentive. We had an incentives team. So the incentives team comes in to look at grants, rebates, tax credits, anything that they can do to maximize the incentives that are available in the different area. So everybody knows you got your 30% federal investment tax credit. You got your American-made domestic content, 10%. That is through the Inflation Reduction Act. And that's still locked in for this year, by the way. From there, we've got rebates for new roofs, right? From Duke Energy up to, I think it's 36 cents per square foot. So, if you're at a $100,000 square foot roof, a replacement, okay, well, right there, you're getting a pretty sizable rebate there, right? Yeah. Then what we started looking at like dual use stuff, right? So, if you've got a lighting project, if you've got a new roof or HVAC replacement, hot water heaters, right? Some type of appliances or upgrades like that, we can actually provide solar tax credits to those depending on some of your situations. So what that's done is on a new build, we're looking at guaranteed, as long as it's, not a messed up roof, angle, or, it's not like there's a lot of new builds that are under trees,
Right.
you know what I mean? But, maybe the roof is, pitched or something awkward, right? But not about 90% of the time, we're able to look at it and get about 125% of the cost of solar back in tax credits. And that's really the bare minimum. I mean, we've seen some 150 to 200% is really more in line of what we're seeing, right? So
Wow.
we just had one. It was a $2 million solar new build warehouse that had no hot water heaters. It was all just HVAC and roof and lighting. They got $2 million spent on solar. They got $3 million back in tax credits. It's not grants, rebates, anything. That's just tax credits.
Wow.
So, you can imagine we start digging into this stuff, and it's fueled us so much that my business has taken off 150x.
Yeah.
On the
No, I mean,
commercial
from an
side.
investor perspective, obviously, not paying taxes is an amazing thing. So taking advantage of that, it could be huge.
And the other thing that we've done too, right? So we're actually working with a lot of business owners right now up in like Asheville, and then even down in the Tampa area from Hurricane Milton. Obviously Helene was up in Asheville, right? But what we're seeing is, they may be paying a deductible, but they're having all those energy efficiency things that we just talked about, right? They're having to have them replaced: HVAC, roof, hot water heaters. They get all that stuff replaced, but they're only paying, maybe 10% on the deductible. So if they've got $1 million on this replacement, but they're only paying $100,000, and then we come in, we add a couple $100,000 worth of solar. Well, they're able to get those tax credits towards that million, but they're only paying $100,000.
So coupling it all together.
Right. So if the solar is 200, they paid 100,000 on the deductible. Right. Well, they're getting at least starting point 40% tax credits applied to 1.2. Well, I mean, that's $480,000 that they're getting back, and they're paying 300. And for some of the guys that are really hurt, right, because they're out of, they're not generating revenue right now, right? Their business is shut down. Say hotels, for instance, that's a big one, right? Those hotels will tell them, listen, you give us your tax credits, we'll give you free solar. We'll put the solar up. You give us the tax credits. Some of them we can use. If we can't use them all, then we're able to sell them. And even at a discount, we're getting a pretty nice return on that, on providing that free solar by brokering the credits. They can then turn around too. They don't have any cash outflow. They're just getting free solar put back on their building,
and they're ready to go. That's awesome.
It's a win-win for everybody.
That's awesome, man. So if I'm a client, I'm thinking about, maybe I have a house, maybe I'm thinking about buying a house. I'm thinking about solar. I want to understand a little bit more about it, and I want to see if it would be a good fit for whatever property I'm thinking about. How can we get a hold of you?
Sure. So you can check us out. You go to lumentpower.com, LUMINT power.com. You can give us a call, 855-SUNNY-54. Press extension 1, you'll get me. And I'll walk you through it. And so a couple of things to look at, generally speaking, when you're looking at solar, right? But all your panels need to be facing as close to south as possible, right? Okay. So we're in the northern hemisphere, right? So the sun going between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn is always going to be south of us. Right. So if I got panels on a north-facing roof, that doesn't really make sense because they're never getting direct sunlight. They'll get some, they're going to work, but they're not going to work right. So we'll never put panels on a north-facing roof, right? Southeast, southwest, that's fine. You're still going to get some direct sunlight throughout the day, but ideally you want those panels facing directly south. That's how you're going to maximize it. So if you're in like an HOA and they tell you can't have panels on the front of your house, right? Well, if the front of your house is south and the only place you can put them is facing north, you're just not good for solar. Yeah. And that's okay. Yeah. Right? It doesn't work. But don't go and spend $50,000 with some guy that's going to rip you off and tell you, hey, this is going to be great. It's going to power your whole house. You'll never have a power bill again. Right? It's just not going to happen. That guy's lying to you. Yeah. Right? Yeah. The panels aren't going to work right. You're being overpromised. You're going to be really pissed off in about 6 months, right? When you figure it out. Yep. And that guy is probably going to be moved to a whole other state. Yeah. He's going to sell 100 homers just like you, and he's going to move out. Yep. So for us, that's where we guarantee the production. That's why we're a little bit different. Second thing, if you're not willing to cut down trees and you got a whole big shaded house, you know what I mean? You live back up in the woods. I don't care what anybody tells you. You need sunlight in order for the panels to work. So you can cut down some
I
trees.
figured that would go without saying, but maybe not. You never know.
You never know, right? So people will kind of do some different things. Yeah, I could do 3 hours on this about the tricks that scumbag solar salespeople have done, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And they'll show like an aerial shot of your home during the winter when there's no leaves on the trees. And they're like, see, look at all this sunlight, right? It's like, great. Well, maybe let's look at it during the summer, right? Or the spring or the fall, but not in the dead of winter when there's no leaves, there's no foliage out there. So, but yeah, if you've got any questions, let us know, man. We'll walk you through it. Like I said, all of our salespeople work directly for the company, right?
Yeah.
So you're not getting any kind of ridiculous markups. We'll guarantee the production of the system. We'll walk you through all the different options that you have. By the way, and our installers also work for us. We're fully vertically integrated. So you don't have to worry about subcontracting anything. We're not roofers, right? So if you need a new roof, that's fine. We'll work with you on that. We may subcontract a roof, or you can directly pay for your own roof, right? That's fine too. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to come through us, but we're happy to help in that side. But as far as the solar, the battery installation, any of that stuff goes, EV chargers, all that stuff we do in-house, 100%, no subcontractors.
I love it, man. And that's, honestly one of the big reasons why at Fairway we wanted to partner up with you guys, because, our word is everything. Our reputation is everything, and it means a lot. And so if we're going to recommend our clients to get solar, or at least entertain solar, the last thing I want is a shady salesperson selling a client a system that doesn't work, that doesn't hold up their end of the bargain, and then they're gone, right? Yeah. And that's not what you're going to get here. If it's not a good fit, they're going to let you know it's not a good fit. And if it's a good fit, you're going to know about it. And the crazy thing is, it still blows my mind that depending on your state, depending on your area, you could literally get the system fully covered depending on your scenario, which is crazy. So if you're thinking about solar, if you've thought about it, or if you're just thinking about buying a house, let us know, reach out. Matt and his team are always available. They'd be happy to help. Contact information is below. Make sure to check it out. And thank you for tuning in.